Well, I got one more sock to do, and then I am finished my Christmas knitting. I really messed up on this sock. This is one for Gary. I forgot to change my yarn. I was putting this color just for the heel and the gusset, and I guess maybe I was tired or really not paying attention. I forgot to change my yarn back to this color, so he's got this big portion here of different color, but I don't think he'll care. He just wears these heavy ones either in his boots or around the house if he's cold, so it's not the end of the world. Nice big sock, and toe's been all nicely Kitchenered. One more to go. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I think I will. I still got a few days, but I have a couple of other things that I have to get done too. But wish me luck. I'm just finishing a sock, and I've come to the end where the Kitchener stitch needs to go. And I thought I would just address Kitchener stitches because I used to be terrified of coming to this point in a sock. When I first started making socks, I would deliberately look for a pattern that did not end in a Kitchener stitch because I didn't know how to do it. And I had a bunch of old knitting books that were my mom's, and on the back page of every one of those was instructions on how to do a Kitchener stitch. And I would try, and I couldn't get it. I don't know why. I just could not get it. And then one day I came across this pattern. Now there is on the very end here, I don't know if you can see right there, there is an address. I'm going to look and see if that address is still applicable. This is from 2004, so this site might be down or gone or whatever, but this is the best I've ever found on how to do a Kitchener stitch. It is so well and easy put out there that you really cannot not do it. So this is how I learned to do the Kitchener stitch, and now I absolutely love to do the Kitchener stitch. I don't find it a chore at all. I find it actually kind of enjoyable. I look forward to the end now instead of being terrified of it. So I'm going to do these socks, and if you are like I used to be, terrified of Kitchener stitch, maybe you can follow along and get some comfort that it's not that bad. So you're going to have your end stitches on 2 needles, and you're going to have left yourself a length of yarn, and then you will put a darning needle on the end of that. And your length of yarn should be on the back needle. Your back needle should have the working yarn, and the front needle doesn't have any working yarn. So lay them, I always do it on a table. I don't do it on my knees because that would be dangerous. Lay them on the table and just have a look at, you're going to have even amount of stitches, obviously. So how you're going to start is you're going to insert your darning needle into the first stitch at the front as if you were going to purl. So you're going to put it in like this, and you're going to pull it through, and you're going to leave it on there. You're not going to take it off. Then these are your setup 2 rows. Then you're going to take this needle and you're going to put it in the first of the back stitch as if you were going to knit it, and you're going to leave it on there like that. So you've actually put stitches in both of these, but you're not going to pull it off the needle yet. Now we are going to start pulling them off. So the next 2 rows that we're going to do, we will do all the way to the end. Now that we've set this up, we don't ever do it that way again. So this darning needle, now you're going to put it into the front stitch as if to knit. Remember, you did it to purl before, but you're not going to now. You're going to put it in as if to knit. And you're going to take it off. Just slide that stitch off. But now the next stitch beside it, that's the next stitch, you're going to put it in as if to purl, and you're going to leave it on. Now you're going to go back to the one behind, and you're going to put it in as if to purl, and you're going to slide it off. And then the one beside it, you're going to put your stitch through as if to knit, and you're going to leave it on. So you sort of are repeating those first 2 rows. Now you're going to go back to your front one, and you're going to take that as if to knit, and you're going to take it off. And you're going to set up the next stitch by putting it through as if to purl, and you're going to leave it on. You're going to go to the back, and you're going to purl it off. And just give it a little tug after and knit it on. This is what I say to myself. Okay, now we'll go to the front, and we're going to knit it off. So that tells me knit and take off. Purl the next one and leave on. Go to the back, purl and take off. The next stitch, knit and leave on. You go to the front and you knit and take off. And then the next stitch you purl and leave on. Back row, purl and take off. Oops, still a piece on there. And then you knit and leave on at the back. Always make sure your yarn is between the needles when you're pulling it. That way you have a nice tight, see how nice that's starting? Okay, we're back to the front. We're going to knit and take off. Pull. And the next stitch we're going to purl and leave on. The back row, purl and take off. And the back row, knit and leave on. Back to the front row, we're going to knit and take off. And then purl and leave on. Back row, purl and take off. And knit and leave on. Front row, knit and take off. And purl and leave on. Back row, purl and take off. And knit and leave on at the back. So for each needle you have to do 2 things. You have to deal with the first stitch, and then you have to set up the second stitch. We're back on the front, so we're going to knit and take off. And we're going to purl and leave on. And then we're going to go to the back, and we're going to purl and take off. and knit and leave on. You're just doing the opposite that you're doing on the other. Look at this lovely stitch it's making. Okay, we're back at the front. We're going to knit and take off. And purl and leave on. Back, we're going to purl and take off. And knit and leave on. Down to our last three. Knit, take off on the front, and purl and leave on. Back, purl and take off. And knit and leave on. Front, knit and take off. And purl and leave on. Back, oops. What did I do here? That should be over there like that. There we go. The back one, we're going to purl and take it off. I hope you could see this. I hope I didn't move too much. I probably did. And knit and leave on. And the last two, you're just going to do the same thing. You're going to knit this one off like that. And the last stitch you purl, and then you reach inside your sock and you just, where are you? You just put your needle through and pull it through. And you have a really nice toe. And that's all there is to the Kitchener stitch. It's actually very, I made up that little jingle for myself because that's how I kind of say it under my breath, especially if I have a lot of stitches. If I only have a few, I don't bother, but yeah, nice on both sides, beautiful. So I hope this dispels the myth that the Kitchener stitch is something to be afraid of, because it's really, really not. So I have one more sock to do and I am finished with my Christmas sock knitting. Will I get it done? I sure hope so. Today is the 21st of December, and it is the 21st day of Advent. Today he is getting 2 little composition books. He does a lot of work. He moves around from building to building in his work, and he could put one of these in his pocket and jot down notes. And I made a little sign for him. Everyone needs composition books. And another Lindt chocolate.